Hey, how you doing? I'm cooking spaghetti, and if you want to learn how to cook spaghetti, this is how you make spaghetti. So, first off, the ingredients you will need for spaghetti is, I like to use this Italian seasoning because it's convenient. Has an array of spices in there that are really good. I also have garlic powder. Use garlic powder, not you can use actual garlic cloves and stuff if you want. Old world Italian. I put a little bit of black pepper, salt. There's also, I use, as for tomato sauce, it's cheap. It's relatively good. It's Hunt's sauce. I use Hunt's in there. And what I like to do with that when I'm making the sauce is I put the garlic and everything in there. And, well, first off, what I'd like to do is when I'm cooking, use a glove when you're picking up a pan and stuff, so you don't burn your hands. It was cool right now, but generally you want to do that. So what I like to do first is cook my meat. That's a lot of meat. Usually we don't have that much meat, but my mother found Italian sausage on sale. Usually we just use ground hamburger. And so what I like to do for a little while, I like to put it on, if there's a lot like this, I generally like to put on medium heat, and I put the spices and everything, the Italian seasoning, the garlic and everything in there, and you let that cook for a little while. Now this is something I've been, Mom's been doing since I was a kid, and I like doing it as well because I don't like greasy ass spaghetti. Once we're done cooking the hamburger, what we're gonna do, even though all the seasonings and stuff is on there, we're letting it cook in the seasonings right now. You let it cook there for a little while, for about, I don't know, about 5 minutes, like that, on medium. And then what you want to do is turn up the heat. Turn up the heat. I like to turn it up high, and so it cooks faster. After 5 minutes of letting all the ingredients soak into the meat itself, you swirl it around, you let it cook, stuff like that. Then what you want to do, which we've done forever, you take the hamburger after it's cooked, you put it in said strainer, and you wash out the meat. Yes, you wash out the meat of all the grease and everything. You make sure you do it thoroughly. I made the noodles first. We only have one burner working on this stove right now because it's an old stove. I still got to get the parts to replace the burner tops. I keep forgetting, I got too much on my mind. But anyways, generally most people cook both at the same time. I don't like to cook both at the same time, even if I did have all the burners going, because you're multitasking. When you're multitasking when you're cooking and you're not a professional chef, most of the time you're gonna fuck it up. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. If you're not really skilled at cooking, I'm skilled at cooking, but I prefer just doing spaghetti one thing at a time, because spaghetti is, if you do it right, it can taste really good, and it's a process. So you take your cans of Hunt's and you get them open. All right. And now to put it into said strainer. I'm going to set down the phone for a second. You're going to see darkness. As you can see, I am putting it now one-handed into said strainer. Doesn't matter what kind of strainer, as long as it's a big sturdy strainer. As you can see here, big sturdy strainer. Now you take the excess, since I'm holding it one-handed, and you scrape it out with the wooden spoon. Usually, preferably when you're using cast iron, you gotta use wood, because if you use metal, it will fuck up the cast irons. You scrape it out, put it in there, and you rinse it up with the water, and then once you're done with that, you put it right back into the pan. Okay, here we go. As you can see, the meat is cooking thoroughly, and it's doing all right. So, if you want it a little bit darker, you can, depending on how you like your meat. Now, you can cook it face open like this, or you can have, I like to use a tortilla pan, cover it up, cast iron tortilla pan, because it cooks it thoroughly. Cast iron, if you don't know, cast iron cooks food very thoroughly, and it holds in a lot of heat, even if you turn off the burner, because the cast iron, it takes it a little while to warm up the cast iron, but when you have the cast iron warmed up, it will distribute the heat properly, and also it will keep on cooking even if the burner is off, because all the heat that is stored into the cast iron. Now, once you're done cooking thoroughly, as so, I'm gonna stir it around a little bit more, because it's still not quite done for me. Now, what you want to do now, if this is too much, then don't do it. Take half out and put it into another bowl or something. But if you can do this, then it's okay. So we're going to pour in the sauce. It is quite full, as you can see, because of a lot of hamburger. Like I said, normally we don't do this. Once in a great while, I will do heavy hamburger in spaghetti. I'm not vegan or anything, because I'm broke ass fucking poor. If I was vegan, I'd probably use some healthier stuff. On the subject matter, a lot of people, you know, preach to be healthy, be healthy, be healthy, be healthy. Hate to break it to you, but not everybody can afford healthy fucking food. It's an unfortunate thing, yes, but it is reality. Usually the ones that are healthy and have a decent amount of money, the ones that have decent amount of money are usually the ones that preach a lot. You know, be healthy, be fit, be thin, blah, blah, blah. The only way you can be fucking thin if you're poor is two ways. One, you either eat once a fucking day or barely eat at all, or two, you're on some kind of drugs in order to stay fucking thin. One of those two things. And even when you do eat, if you are thin, you're eating shit food. Why? Because you're poor. You are fucking broke. That is the fucking blatant truth. Yeah. So, sorry to burst your fucking healthy bubble, but, the system is rigged like this to keep the poor man healthy enough to work, but unhealthy enough to where he'll die faster than the rich folk or medium class people. Because at the end of the day, when you're old and shit, they don't want to give you Social Security or disability or any of that stuff when you're old. All that work you do, you pay your taxes and all that, that's supposed to be for us. But the Mr. Government likes to dip his hand in the Social Security, and that's why a lot of people aren't getting Social Security when they're old, and they end up broke as hell eating cat food and shit. Anyways, you want to turn your heat down low, and you want to reapply all your ingredients. Again, I know it's redundant, But when you wash away the grease off the hamburgers, most of the ingredients get rinsed off. But like I said, if you do the 5-minute thing first on medium heat with the hamburger meat, put all the ingredients in there, you will have most of the flavor inside the hamburger. Now, I'm applying this stuff to the sauce so the sauce tastes pretty decent. Now, what you want to do for the acidity, because tomatoes have natural high acidity. Now what you want to do, use sugar inside the tomato sauce dissipate. That's the reason why we use sugar. Sugar is a natural, it pretty much takes away the acidity of tomato sauce. You don't want a lot of acidity in your tomatoes because it will really fuck up your stomach, and also using a little bit of sugar can make the flavor a little bit better. Not too much sugar, but a little bit. So what you want to do is you either, depending on how sweet or non-sweet and depending on how much acid or non-acid you want inside of your sauce, you will take a tablespoon of sugar, one-handed man. You take a tablespoon and you just sort of sprinkle it around town and get down. Now that should be enough right there to cut the acidity out of all the sauce. And you stir this around, like my word, slur it around. You stir it around, and then you'll get the flavor inside. Sauce and the hamburger, cook on low for a little while. You do this for about 5 to 10, 15 minutes on that. After you're done with that, you're done. If you didn't do the noodles first, the noodles is really easy, really simple. All you have to do is get a boiling pot of water, put some salt at the bottom so none of the noodles stick on the bottom of the pot. Yes, salt. You put salt at the bottom of the pot, then the noodles will not stick and it won't burn the noodles.